What's juicing my fruit?
This is Behind the Berries, the podcast in which we talk about the juiciest berries in all of history.
Oh God, oh Jesus, that's a good podcast. I just stole it. Okay, it's been a while, mostly thanks to the coronavirus and jobs.
Although, hey, on the bright side, we actually managed to get an episode out after lockdown lifted.
Oh yeah. Oh.
We stick to our promises.
All right. So, well, how have you been, Sassy?
It's been crazy, you know. I've been vaccinated since the last episode, and I've been out doing shit. I actually went into New York City, and I got to participate in Pride and visit some old friends that I haven't seen in ages.
That's amazing. I've been vaccinated for a while. You know what I did with that? Absolutely nothing. I've been inside most of the time. I'm not working.
Well, that sucks.
I've been trying to look for a new job, and let me tell you, it's not easy.
It's not easy. I'm in that boat too. I think a lot of other people are in that boat as well.
Oh God, I don't want to be delivering pizzas, but you know, it's not the worst thing. How would we gauge our feeling today, Sassy?
I'd say I'm a little bit frazzled. You know, it's been a couple of months since we did one of these, so I need to kind of get back in the groove a little bit. So if I'm a little bit awkward, if I'm a little bit like screwy in my sentence delivery, that is why.
Yes, same. I just woke up probably about 10 minutes ago. Fully. I've been off and on awake, but you know, I'm good. So, like, shall we get on to the first segment? Shall we move on to the review segment?
Let's give the people what they want to see.
Alrighty, so our first segment of the day, as always, is our review segment. And as you guys have graciously answered the survey that I put out, the choice between two clips, it was neck and neck up until quite literally the end. At which point, the Mika Tan Berry Suit won, which that one is called Mika's Blueberry Games. It is the first and only clip with Mika Tan in the blueberry suit. And where do we start with this one? I don't know how to start with this one.
I really like this clip. Like, I'm not normally a fan of the sort of the POV teasing videos that Taylor puts out, but this one struck all the right chords with me. I love her. I just love her general sort of teasing attitude. Like, I feel like whenever I watch a lot of these clips, like, the suit props themselves, like, I understand, like, doing blueberry inflation in live action. It's not an easy thing to pull off without cutting some corners.
It's not easy in porn to make anything super realistic, because that's the nature of porn.
A lot of the suspension of disbelief with these kinds of clips falls on the actors to really sell it, and I feel like she sold it really well.
Oh yeah, Mika's a fantastic actress. If I'm not mistaken, this is like one of the only 2 clips she's ever done that's blueberry themed, and it is the only one where she does a suit. I have both, and no, it's a great clip because like you get Mika, who is a very playful and very fun like tease. She's very engaging with the viewer, and then you get some very fantastic makeup, which is like it's a very monocolor. But the lipstick is a different color, or the lips are a different color blue than the face, and you get like engaging and fun and interactive parts in the clip. It's very well made.
So one thing for me personally that I liked about this clip was the fact that, again, a lot of the reason that I am sort of turned away from a lot of the POV content is because it tends to be very male-centric. It tends to focus a lot on stroke your cock and I'll get bigger, that kind of thing. And like that's not really as a trans woman, that's not really my scene, you know. But I like the fact that for the most part she managed to stay mostly gender neutral throughout that whole thing. Like, really anybody could be her partner in this situation.
It's very much more focused less on the viewer being super sexual with the dick tease and shit.
Well, and I'm not trying to shame anybody who's into that. Like, if that's your thing,
no.
like, that is absolutely
there's
fine.
There's plenty. It's a good point to point out there, because it's a very gender neutral clip, and it's very, like, engaging in that way to where it's more about just general pleasure as opposed to specific pleasure and as to and like who gets it and why. It's one of my favorite clips because Mika's one of my favorite actresses, and this is going to sound so fucking stupid because we're talking about porn, but it's a wholesome clip, sort of. It's playful as opposed to overtly sexual, and for me that's a lot more comforting because like while I'm pansexual, it's like a labyrinth to try and get me to be sexual, I guess, because like being overtly sexual kind of, it's more comedic to me than it is arousing and stuff. It's very well made how they've like how the performance is brought about and how engaging like Mika is.
Well, I actually found the clip to be very arousing because it wasn't entirely overtly sexual. Rather than emphasizing the sexual element, it was more of the feeling of being stuck and having to be rolled around.
Oh yeah, there's a stuckage moment.
That whole time I was thinking, like, why didn't you just move the table?
Why did you have the table? Yeah, no, I get that, because like a lot of the actresses in like later clips and in some of the clips just tend to be like, oh, well, we just gotta talk about being horny, and like, and you know, to each their own.
And like, there's a little bit of horny in this one, but it runs the gambit from like a variety of different.
Horny.
Yeah, it's like playful horny almost.
And Mika's a great like actress. She's one. I think she's from the latter half of like because there's different waves to porn history. There's the solid state wave where it's just VHS and DVD, you know, and then there's the online wave. And the first half of that, it was just mostly like taking what was solid state and putting it online. And now we just have almost purely fuck meat based advertising in porn, and it just doesn't work as well as the old stuff did. That's not to say that there's not some great porn out there. It's just more just like it's industrialized. You can kind of tell that it's all. If we replace the people in this, it would be the exact same. And a lot of what Mika M exemplifies, and hell, a lot of the actresses in some of these clips exemplify, is that focus more on engagement and just generally that early kind of aesthetic, you know?
Yeah, it's like when I'm watching this, I don't feel that same sense of depersonalization when I'm watching regular porn. You know, it feels very intimate and wholesome, and you know, I feel like
I love how we're saying this is wholesome. It's porn.
I know, but it's like it's
what is the other word we can use to describe it? A genuine.
It feels like I am in a relationship with this person, and they trust me enough that they are willing to blow up into a giant ball for my pleasure.
Oh yeah, and then they've done this concept before, and I think that they've nailed it sometimes, and I think they've failed it sometimes, and it's just sort of depending upon the story and the context. It's fascinating to just see how different repeated concepts play out in with different actresses in different time frames. This is one of the ones that are just like genuine and, you know, sweet and loving, and that's not exactly common in the tailor-made clips repertoire.
Yeah, like most of it is usually like,
oh fuck, I'm scared.
It's usually like non-consensual. It's usually they don't know that what they're in for, and so like when they start blowing up into a blueberry, they start getting scared and everything. And there's fun in that too, but it's very refreshing to see somebody who knows what they're getting into and they are playing it up a bit.
I think the happy medium between the oh god what's happening and the here you go my love is it's happening and they're just fucking chill about it.
Yeah, and this is what this clip is.
I would recommend this for anyone who just, I wouldn't say lonely, but it's just sort of just like, I've noticed in men who watch porn, there's this moment, there's the period right after where they're just like, what have I done? My God, what have I done? Which is so weird because I think I've had that maybe twice in my entire life. It's not a common thing like for me. And B, it's just like, if you really just sort of want to have something that doesn't make you feel like shit, this is a good one. This is a good one that makes you sort of feel like warm and happy and shit.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I could have used more of that during my teenage years when I was first getting into this kind of stuff.
Oh, God, yeah. God, yeah.
I was kind of ashamed of my sexuality for a little bit. You know, not necessarily because I hated the concept of liking women, but because the way I was being socialized to like women just didn't really feel right with me. And considering that, you know, a lot of this expansion content is considered to be deviant, I guess. You know, like that was sort of an extra layer of shame on top of that. So I feel like, you know, having more of this kind of content, it makes it feel less weird.
It's sort of an interesting conversation to have because you have basically an entire subset of people who are already like, if we're going to factor in just the gender dynamic here, you have the entire subset of people, like men who are interested in deviant sexuality, who are already sort of seen as odd. It's not a common thing for men's sexuality to be more comfortable and to be more not conquest based. Like, as a sociologist, I've talked extensively about this with, you know, people in my classes and read like shit, like studies and like and reflections on it, and this sort of reflects the something that is necessary with not only deviant sexualities but just with masculine sexuality in general. It's genuine and gentle, and it's sort of welcoming, and it allows for affirmation of like one's existence and one's comfort, because we all need that. If you have a weird sexuality or sexual proclivity, you just do, because that's it just helps you ground yourself in reality and not feel like shit.
Exactly.
So yeah, how are we gonna rate this?
I don't think did we even rate the last one?
No, but I was thinking we could do something funny like 18 grapple.
What?
It's from Rick and Morty.
I'll give it 5 blueberries out of 5. Yeah, because this is just a top tier clip. Like, this is about, like, as far as the TMC library with particularly blueberry inflation content is concerned, like, this is top tier stuff.
This is dope shit. This is dope as fuck. 100 out of 10. Alrighty.
All right. So, last time we did not do a featured artist,
and we had somebody planned for it, but we forgot.
You know, it's a bit confusing because, you know, I'm still kind of new to this, and, you know, I just wanted to.
We're still feeling it out.
Yeah, we just wanted to get sort of an episode out. That way I had something under my belt. And in that rush to do so, we forgot to add a featured artist. So, to make up for that, we're going to have 2!
2 featured artists! Count them, 2!
Yeah.
I don't know why I referenced SpongeBob.
However, we decided to venture a little bit outside of our comfort zone with these 2. So we have a transformation artist with Mancor, and a male inflation artist with Busip? Is that how you pronounce it?
I say Bussup.
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 Bussy boy.
I say we start with Bussup just because it's easier to, and it's easier to transition into transformation from Bussup, because Bussup is not like the other artists that we've had before. I won't spoil it.
Well, I literally just said they're a male inflation artist, so
yeah,
kind of gives the game away a little bit.
The thing with me that I like about like his stuff or their stuff, I don't know their
him. He goes by him.
Ah, okay, cool. The stuff about his stuff is, it's very round and very like bubbly and stuff. Like, I don't know how to explain the way that I would interpret it, because I interpret most of this stuff through texture. Like, when it comes to morph stuff, it's round, it's tight, it's bubble-ish, like there's lots of bubbles and stuff. And from what I gather about the more male-centric inflation and the more like homoerotic inflation stuff, the concept of a bubble butt and the concept of not anti-buffness, it's the concept of being larger and being
a fluffy dude.
Yes, that. I'm, like, I may be pansexual, but I'm not very adventurous, so I know nothing of that kind of like terminology and stuff.
Yeah, as a lesbian, this is a little bit outside of my particular repertoire as well, but I still genuinely appreciate a lot of this just for I love the shapes that he does. I love all the textures as well. I love all the attention to detail. This is a lot of the stuff I try to incorporate in some of my work, but he does it really well.
There were times in which I was like, should I follow? Should I not? Should I look at this? I'm like, yeah, why not? Because like it's genuinely good shapes. It's genuinely good. And the colors too. The colors are very stand out. Like,
they're very vibrant,
which is something that you don't often see, or if you do see, it's not like coordinated vibrancy. I that's the term I would use. Like, the vibrancy of the colors don't match the setting. Like, if you catch my drift. So yeah, it's very well. He makes great stuff. Do you have any specific images you think you would recommend, like, from just like peering through it?
I mean, I don't think I have a specific image in mind, but I love a lot of his textured work. You look at a lot of morph artists, at least on DeviantArt, and like when they try to work on a large scale, like with like huge inflated bodies, like a lot of the skin looks kind of fake. This guy really goes to great lengths to make sure that the inflated skin actually looks like inflated skin.
And it's taut.
It's taut, there's like veins and hair, and like I really love that attention to detail. I know that realism is not really everybody's cup of tea, but as someone who
It's
really
something
digs
that fascinates you, yeah.
yeah, it's something that fascinates me, and as someone who really digs the realism angle, I really love how he goes out of his way to emphasize that.
And it's very well done in that regard. From my understanding, it's very hard to capture in morph art the thing that like homoerotic inflation wants to capture. I'm in like maybe one or two male inflation servers, and he's very popular there because it's very well done and very much caters to that interest, and I understand why. Because the number that there are of male inflation artists who do that aren't numerous, or they haven't made stuff in a while, and I guess they're like not prominent. And honestly, I encourage more people to work inside that subset and kind of cater to that gaze, because there is a market for it. There are people who want to see it, who want to like engage with it, you know?
I know Woods would definitely like to see it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, 100%. So, shall we move on to the other artist?
So the other artist we wanted to present this week was Mangkor, who is an animator of sorts.
They're an animator morph thing. If I were to qualify, it's halfway between both, you know? Like, because they make stuff from real stuff. Like, they make animations from real videos into, like, animation. Then they just alter animations, which are very fascinating.
Well, yeah, and it's amazing, because it's like his, like, for the most part, you look at, you know, the original clip and you look at what he added, and it looks almost seamless, like, as if it was part of the original source material.
It is in-fucking-sane. Some of these clips. It is, like, insane. There's this one from like Office Space where this one guy shifts into a horny fox, and it's like it happened in the movie.
Oh yeah, that one was one of my favorites. I wish that could happen to me.
That's fair.
What stapler is he using?
There's this one where this chick is standing in a mirror and is turning into a Pikachu, or what is I guess is like a Pikachu anthro person, and they get massive tits. There's donkey transformation and fox transformation. There's this one where this woman turns from like a physical person into a cartoon and just grows and gets wider. That's a common thing. Like, there's both animal like person transformation, and then there's just general like bimbofication animation style, like cartoonified bimbo.
It's toonification, if you will.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there's this one clip. Like this one clip I really like where it's from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I forget who this character was, but she was looking at Jessica Rabbit walking out of the room and then just turns around to the camera and suddenly transforms into an animated woman as well.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at that one right now. I just scrolled down and like you were describing it, and it's like, oh, it's this one. It's literally just boing, and it matches the animation style of Roger fucking Rabbit.
It's amazing! Like, that movie was revolutionary for the time, and the fact that some person can make something, like, if not on that quality, at least close to that quality, like, that's amazing.
Oh, it is absolutely astounding. It's stunning. There's also, I've scrolled down further, there is dinosaur transformation. That is something I have not seen before, actually, shockingly.
You'd be surprised. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but, like, one of my awakenings was this Magic School Bus game where you could take the different characters and, like, turn them into dinosaur hybrids.
There is a Snorlax transformation, which is I love Snorlax transformations, not gonna lie, they're just fun.
My absolute favorite is the one from I think the source clip was from Fairy Tail, where this one waitress woman turns into a rabbit.
I think I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
I love the attention to detail on this. I love the way that her snout changes and how they still kept the lip flaps moving throughout that whole thing. It's so good. I don't even have the words to describe it. It's just so well made. Like, this, if you do not follow this person right now, you should, because he is so talented, or they are so talented. I don't know their pronouns.
Oh yeah, and I found the little animation you're talking about. It is fascinating how much attention to detail this person has. And then like two things down, there's something from another. I think it's a Digimon anime. All these transformations fascinate me because they're well made, they're well crafted, and they just sort of they match the animation style, which is something that I've noticed is very hard to capture when you're an animator. You just get it's just fascinating to me that like what they can make and how they've made it and stuff. And I think the fun thing is like I've seen them like on Twitter as well. I've seen their Twitter stuff and it's very well made. It's very fascinating. So yeah, I say give this person a follow if you just want to see some pretty astounding transformative like transformation stuff. It's very interesting. It's very well made.
I'll say I'd love to commission this guy if I was more confident in showing my face.
I'm sure they'd work around it too. Like even if like they just find a different like cycle of it, or they try and figure out a way to work with your comfort. Because like there's definitely something there. There's this one where this lady's in a bar and she just turns into a cow person with 4 tits, which is kind of fucking cool as shit. But yeah, no. And okay, side note, it's main core. When I first was trying to find this person, I kept misspelling it, saying Manticore.
Yeah. As someone with dyslexia, I empathize.
I was just like, I don't know why I can't find it. And then I'm like, then I was like, who is this artist again? It's like, oh, it's Maincore. I'm like, oh, not Manticore. Oops.
I was about to say, no, it's the creature from Star Wars, but no, that was the Rancor. So is a Mancor like a hybrid between the two?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. It could just be the main core that you send into battle of military.
Maybe that'll be my commission. I want him to turn me into a Mancor.
No, it's just the entire state of Maine in the shape of a Rancor. Oh, that'd be horrifying. Oh god. Oh, Maine core. But no, they got some cool and fascinating stuff. Alrighty, shall we move on to the next segment since we kind of got a taste of it a few seconds ago?
So I think a lot of us have the Wonka movies, both the 71 version and the 05 movie, and of course the masterpiece that is the Tom and Jerry remake. We have those movies to thank for getting us into this community, but there are a lot of us who got into it through other means, or maybe had other influences as well, and I wanted to talk about what was the piece of media that got us into this that wasn't Wonka related.
Do you want me to start? Because I know we both got one. But for me, I guess there were a couple. There were a few, like there were different Disney Channel stuff that would happen that I saw that I was little. I was like, this is causing some weird awakening. But then there was also like, there was a series of commercials by Capri Sun called Respect the Pouch, and following that there was the Disrespectoids, and it was just a bunch of people just fucking up a Capri Sun pouch for some reason. I don't know why anyone would feel the need to beat up a piece of aluminum like that, but like they did that. And the second in that phase was or maybe the third if you count the one where the little dude steps on it and just shoots in the air. But like the second one was Whoopi Kushner, which whoever came up with this concept just was bizarre, because basically she inflates the pouch, puts it under a person, uses it as a whoopee cushion, and then she gets hands and feet that are whoopee cushions and turns pink. And that kind of got me fascinated with transformation very distinctly, because I just was like, wow, there are no words to describe the feeling that I have right now.
I definitely see what you mean, because I remember those commercials as well. Like, for me, it wasn't so much the fact that she grew whoopee cushions on her hands and feet, but it was the fact that her entire skin also took on the same material texture of the whoopee cushions themselves.
It was definitely that part for me a lot, because it was just like, I'm a tactile person, and like rubber is hit or miss, and that kind of rubber is kind of like, oh wow, that's a nice feeling. So yeah, no, I get that. There were a lot of very bizarre things that happened in those commercials. One of which just, I assumed they were lethal.
I'm just so tired of people judging our generation for the weird fetishes we have. Because, like, have
Oh
you
my
seen the kind of
gosh.
media we were exposed to as kids?
There is a period of the 90s to 2010. There's a 20-year period where every commercial had the potential of like making a kid's brain go boing.
Like someone's head in a Fruit Gushers commercial.
Fucking goddamn it! I knew you're gonna go right there. I should have known.
It would be inappropriate of me not to bring that up.
Oh god, and that, you know how we have the commercial thing where I put it like just floating in the box like between our two two images. I know for a fact that at least once that commercial is played there. That commercial made me very much confused because that never happened when I ate a Gusher, and I was very confused for a while.
Oh, I was afraid to eat Gushers for fear that my head would turn into a fruit.
I think as a small child, I was more afraid of completely benign things, and when I saw something that would be life-changing and terrifying, I'd be like, why isn't it happening? What? I'm so confused. Like, there's a lot of interesting media, and you've pointed out, like, you have your own. So, shall we flesh out other ones, or should we just explore these specific ones?
Well, I'd like to talk about the one I brought to the table. Specifically, the book A Bad Case of Stripes by David Shannon.
Oh, there are definitely other people I know who are like, yeah, that kind of got me into that too. What specific page or what specific part?
Pretty much all of it. From page 2 onward, it's just an escalating series of Cronenberg-esque body horror.
It's fucking weird.
Packaged for children.
What they qualify as children's books can range from, oh, happy little bird goes to see his mole friend, to, oh, by the way, if you don't eat lima beans, you're going to turn into your house. Which that is scary to think about.
I've never eaten lima beans in my entire life, and none of that has ever happened to me.
To be fair, that book actually inspired me to try lima beans. And my mom, when I told her after reading that book, hey, I would like to try lima beans, she's like, are you sure they're not that good? I'm like, yeah, I want to try them.
I remember dissecting a lima bean in some elementary school class, and it looked terrible. Wow, this is even worse than the cartoons made it out to be. I can understand why Carl Wieser kept having nightmares about these things. But yeah, so the book itself, for those who don't know, follows a young girl named Camilla Cream, who, interestingly enough, actually does enjoy lima beans. But the reason she doesn't eat them is because apparently they're not cool, and people at school keep teasing her for liking lima beans.
Who the fuck? Can I just ask, who the fuck cares?
I don't know.
Like, who the fuck? Like, it's just a bean.
I mean, I was picked on in school for more benign shit than that, so who am I to judge?
To be fair, I thought I wasn't bullied. I was bullied. So yeah, for weird shit. So yeah, totally fair, 100%. But still, it's just a bean. They're just mean.
So one day she decides that she's no longer going to eat lima beans because of peer pressure. She goes to school next day, and she falls ill with the strange illness that makes her turn into a human pride flag. And at first they think, oh, this is nothing, she's fine, she can go back to school. The very next day she stands up for the Pledge of Allegiance and then starts turning into the colors of the American flag.
That was a bizarre one.
That was definitely one that got to me, because like I remember seeing the cover and thinking, oh, okay, so she's got rainbow stripes. That's nothing too notable. Oh no, now she's changing color. Now shit's getting real.
Now she can change, and that's fucking crazy. Like,
she's like a human chameleon now. And so they try to medicate her. They basically give her this medicine that will hopefully reverse the effects of this disease, pathogen, whatever you want to call it. And this image has stuck with me for my entire life. Seeing this made me feel things that my 6-year-old brain was not ready to feel. And when you see it, you'll understand why. So she takes these pills and then like turns into a human pill. Like, it's almost like an inflation sequence where her body changes shape into that of a cylinder almost.
When you're young and you're like looking at these bizarre media things, how you digest them is either you're just like, oh, that's terrible, I don't want to look at that anymore, or like you stick there and you look at the page and you're just like, And you just sit there and you go home, but your brain's just like, wonder what that would feel like. And you just start spiraling. And that's what happens. And that is how it happens. And I know exactly what page you're talking about. Because I was like, this looks interesting.
Yeah, I had that several times throughout looking at these pictures. But, it gets worse. So, she's at home, she's bedridden, she's watching the TV, and she keeps flipping through all the different channels. And then because she's absorbing all of this different stimuli, she transforms into this weird, again, I can only describe it as Cronenbergian
It is
monster.
Cronenberg.
Yeah.
There should never be a movie of this. There should never, ever, ever be a movie of this.
Oh, there absolutely should, because you know it's gonna awaken a whole lot of people. Like she turns into this tree monster with like a tiger tail.
Oh god, it's, if I remember correctly, she has one tree leg. She has, like, she no longer has hair. She has different things that have taken the place of her hair. She's definitely got the rainbow bits in it, but she's got like tiger pattern. It's just like in the silhouette shadow what you see.
Again, this was a book for children, and they put this kind of shit in there.
This was very effective, probably getting people to eat their fucking lima beans. Is what I'm getting at, because it was fucky wucky with your head.
And then, after all of this weird stuff has transpired, it crescendos into her basically transforming into her room. Her bed is now her lips. Her dresser is now her nose. And then there are like 2 paintings of trees hanging on the wall that are her eyes.
Oh god, that scared me. That did kind of scare me when I was younger. This book was like a fucking roller coaster, because you're like, oh wow, I would have a crush on this girl too. Oh wow, oh no.
It was a series of moments in which I thought to myself, I am feeling this weird feeling that I don't think my brain is capable of processing yet. So I don't know how to feel about this.
When I read it the first time, like I said, I was like around 8 to 10. I thought Camilla was cute. Every time when I was younger, when I would develop a weird interest or kink adjacent thing that would develop into a kink, it was always a character that I'm like, oh, that's adorable. That something either terrible happens to or who suffers. I liked Lava Girl. She can't hug you. She cannot hug you. I like Camilla Cream. House.
Well, I mean, neither of them can hug you because they're not real.
I know, but for Jesus. Fucking crush my dreams like that. I can't hang out with Tay. Nah, I couldn't. She's too Jesus-y for me. But
I had to cross out everything in your dream journal.
It's probably son of a bitch.
Somebody send him to the principal's office and have him expelled.
Can we just side note? That is a fucking that's a movie that exemplifies the same kind of energy this book exemplifies.
Oh, absolutely.
Things happen, and they happen for a reason, and you don't know what that reason is, but they just keep happening.
So the book ends with her grandmother coming over and giving her the lima beans. There's this very vivid image of her tossing the lima beans into this open bed frame that is her mouth, and, she magically transforms back to normal. And, like, the general moral of the story is, like, don't have others shape who you are, try to, embrace who you are, be yourself, all of that positive stuff. But that is such a weird, roundabout way to go about conveying that message.
There are 2 morals to this story. The first moral, don't let others make you be a specific way. The other moral, eat your fucking vegetables or you will turn into your house. Which, there are probably some kids who'd be like, yeah, totally, I want to become my house. But there are also some people who are like, that is terrifying, I don't want to become my house.
I mean, it's like, what if I wanted to turn into a human pride flag, David? What if I wanted to have the colors of the American flag, David? What if I wanted to inflate into a giant pill, David? David? Fuck your lima beans.
Fuck your lima beans. Oh, it's fucking, oh god. And both of these stories, I actually have original characters based off of the concepts that made them. Which, let me tell you, getting that to work is very hard. But once you figure out how to describe them, it goes far. Yeah, no, they're very pivotal parts of different transformative stuff. And I honestly, if you have, like, been affected by either of these things, you might be entitled to financial compensation.
you may be entitled to financial compensation.
God damn it. I was trying to make something very nice and engaging, and then I was like, that was the first thing I went to.
You gave this fetish to me. I deserve compensation.
We just run up to David Shannon. David, you fucker!
No, David. Bad David.
Shit, fuck, I forgot he wrote those books too.
If you attended an elementary school book fair from the early to mid 2000s, you probably saw one of his books there.
Oh yeah, he still writes. I'm sure he still has probably plenty. But if you were ever affected by a non-Wonka, transformative, inflatative, gigantative thing, those are not words. If you ever had that when you were younger, comment below. Tell us your weird stories, because believe me, there are plenty of weird things that have like sort of gotten people in that realm, you know?
Tell us what piece of media irreversibly fucked up your perception of sex.
I'm sorry. That is a fucking like line. Tell us what piece of children's media irreversibly fucked up your view of sex. I mean, that's just the 2000s. Just cut out the entire 2000s, just go film by film. Yeah, nope, yeah, nope, yeah, nope. There's probably somebody who like saw the Grinch movie and was like, oh wow, that's sexy.
What, the Jim Carrey movie?
I mean, yeah, you gotta think about that. There were people who wanted to fuck Snape. There are obviously people who want to fuck the Grinch.
I saw that movie when I was little and I was too frightened by it.
I love that movie more so because it's just the 2000s Dr. Seuss movies. That's all they were just these bizarre forays into, hey, would you like to see something fucked up?
I remember wanting to see Cat in the Hat when it first came out, and then like my mother told me, oh god, no, this movie is not reviewing very well. You do not want to see this.
No, she probably said that, A, because it was true, and B, because she did not want to sit through an hour and a half of Mike Myers.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, I think I saw that in theaters.
Oh god, I'm so sorry.
It was an insane trip.
That fucking movie is just like, what the hell?
Like, the Jim Carrey Grinch was like a very well-made practical effects take on the Grinch. The Mike Myers Cat in the Hat was, you know...
He looks so creepy! He doesn't have any room to move!
It's the literal thought process behind it is like, you know what? I wonder what Mike Myers as the Cat in the Hat would be like for an hour and a half. And that's it.
Which sounds scarier? Mike Myers in the Cat in the Hat, or like the entire cast of Cats?
Oh, fuck you. Why would you make me choose? That's not fair. That's not fair. That's like choosing a torture method. Cats, obviously, because it's just uncomfortable. I can enjoy Cat in the Hat. I cannot enjoy Cats.
I mean, it's like that movie is very clear evidence as to why Hollywood needs to hire more furry artists. But at the same time, I remember when I first saw the trailer of that movie and I saw Rebel Wilson, I was like, ooh, BBW cat persona. You know what? Maybe this won't be all bad.
And then it was.
And then it was.
She vores a cockroach.
Oh my god.
She vores a cockroach.
With a human face!
Oh god, they're...
Okay, clearly the people behind that movie were influenced way too much by early 2000s children's media.
Oh god, that movie just makes me think, like, it just looks moist. And I don't like it. I usually don't have an issue with the concept of moisture. Like, I like a nice moist cake. A nice early moist dewy day. Okay? That's fine. That movie looks moist. Cats and human-faced animals should not look moist in any fucking way. But yeah, so that was the bizarre media that got us into transformation and size kinkdom when we were very small kids who were just like, wow, I don't know how to process this, but I like it. Now we're going to go into our interview segment. Should I do the flashback sequence? I don't know. I'm just going to go blah, blah, blah.
Blue Skidoo interview.
And welcome to the interview portion of the podcast. Today our guest is Max Groth.
Returning guest, Max Growth.
Yes. For a special occasion, Max, would you like to introduce what you are doing or what you have started the fundraising process for?
Um, well, it is for a 30-minute theatrical quality short film about a Blueberry Girl. The goal is to produce 3 separate transformation-based short films and then bundle them into an anthology feature film that is mainstream enough that it can be put on streaming services, but still have all of the, fetish heavy, fetish friendly elements that everybody in our community would be looking for.
All right, yeah, cool. All right. And so this is the initial short, or this is this is sort of step one to getting towards that, by the sound of it, right?
Right. This would be the very first segment of the anthology. So this would be the first short in the actual film.
All right. And do you have a plot summary of any kind?
Yeah, essentially, this is Violet Beauregard's daughter, is like 19. She's in college. This is a world where Violet is sort of a celebrity for having become a berry. In this universe, Violet was an adult when it happened. She wasn't a child. And Violet's daughter, Valentina Beauregard, she has sex for the first time with her boyfriend, which sort of triggers this latent transformation in her left over from her mom's experience.
All right. So it's sort of mutagenic.
Yeah.
So you said that you're hoping to have this picked up on like mainstream streaming services. That's something I never really considered. Like, would something like Netflix even consider like this content even? I wasn't even aware of that.
Well, I don't think this is probably something that would probably make it on Netflix, but there are tons of other sort of like, I don't know what you would call like mid-level streaming services that sort of have a lot of crazy B-movie type.
Like Shudder?
Yeah, I was about to say like kind of like Shudder.
Yeah, like maybe it could go on something like Shudder. I think there's another one that's like a low rent Shudder that is like, I think it's Full Moon.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the B movie streaming services and stuff. Because I listen to podcasts and sometimes they'll advertise for Shudder and stuff like that, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, a streaming service for a very niche audience." So yeah, so it's about the daughter of Violet Beauregard. Do you have like ideal like cast members? Do you have cast choices? Maybe tell our audience about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like right now, kind of the way it works with like theatrical quality, because like the equipment that I have, the sort of level skill set that I have is not kind of up to par for when it comes to like having the equipment to do theatrical quality. Because if you want to be able to put it on a streaming service or sell it as a mainstream project, the sound quality has to be really good. The video quality has to be really good. And I'm going to need to work with a production company who has all that stuff and the experienced people to do it. So really what happens is we have to raise the money first. Then once we've raised the money and we sign the contract with the production company, then we've got something, and then we can start casting. And we would be casting like mainstream actors and actresses, not like fetish performers. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to having a big name fetish performer, be in it, but where I've reached out so far, nobody seemed to really get super excited about it. So I feel like it's probably going to be, regular mainstream actors and actresses with, some B-movie experience already.
I mean that could definitely work, but I'm just wondering like if somebody isn't particularly familiar with this kind of content, how much do you think they would be able to bring to it?
In a lot of ways, you're just extrapolating things that happen in other movies and you're just putting it in kind of a weirder scenario. One of the plot elements of this is like there's an attorney who handled Violet Beauregard's settlement with the factory, and sort of he plays into Valentina's transformation because he gets called in, and there's sort of these other plot lines. There's like a representative from the factory that's a Loompa. She'll be this real tall orange Loompa.
That's amazing.
I like that. I already like the sound of that so much.
So, and the reason why that like they send her is she's too tall to do anything else, so she's the factory's attorney.
Oh, did she get stretched in the taffy puller?
I don't know. I didn't think about that, but I was thinking like she's just this abnormally tall Loompa that her only contribution that she can have is non-factory work. So she's the factory attorney.
Well, I feel like she would have something in common with Violet in that regard. Like both she and Violet suffered injuries related to the factory, and so you have Violet who, is suing Wonka for her injuries. And then you have the Oompa Loompa who's, despite everything she went through, she's still working for the company. So that could be sort of an interesting dynamic at play.
Yeah, because what I have envisioned is the Violet's attorney and the Loompa sort of getting cahoots to sort of like, the actual truth is like as soon as Valentina calls, like she could go to the factory and they could kind of cure her, so to speak, right away. But the attorney talks to this sort of disgruntled Loompa, and they agree to wait until she gets as big as possible so the settlement can be as big as possible.
Ooh. So that they can juice that settlement.
Yeah.
Squeeze it all for what it's worth.
So I'm trying to construct it in a way that is it's not like just a fetish film, or it's just A to Z transformation. It's there is a storyline and a plot line and an arc, just like you would theoretically see in any other film.
It is a story that happens to have elements of transformation and inflation in it, rather than it being centered around those two concepts exclusively.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to go for is kind of like a 50-50 mix where you have that theatrical feel like you're watching, a real movie, but there's still plenty of that other stuff that anybody that's watching it, for the expansion, the Blueberry, the leading up to the Blueberry stuff, there'll be breast expansion, weight gain, butt expansion, belly expansion.
There'll be all the pieces for it, but like it won't be just that. It'll be a little more depth, a little more story heavy, but there'll be the portions for it for the crowd that you want to impress as well.
Yeah, I like I said, I feel like that we can strike a really good balance between some random person like watching this on a streaming service and be going, wow, look at this crazy thing. But then some like people in our community can look at it and they know immediately what it is and know that it's made just for them. It's kind of like, really, in a way, the joke is on the other audience.
Oh yeah, and in my mind, this seems kind of like it's not like the exploitation genre, but it's sort of like that kind of thing where it's like it uses elements. It's like an inversion of that genre instead. It's I like where it's going with it, and a lot of the ideas you have at play. The next paycheck I get, I'm going to put $20 at least on your campaign, because I do want to see this come to fruition.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, it really means a lot. I mean, when you're really asking a lot of people to donate for you, to have faith in you, that you're going to not only complete something, but that you're going to do it at a high level, so they feel like they'll get their money's worth. So really, for yourself and everybody else that's putting in their hard-earned money, I really am really grateful.
Right, and I do encourage everyone to like put at least some money into it, because like I do want to see this come to fruition in some capacity or another. And it's not too much of an expenditure. I mean, if you really want the download, you have to like put down $20. But prior to that, you can get behind the scenes photos and videos and all that stuff. And like, and the higher perks, the perks that are for like people who really, really want to be involved, are just absolutely insane. So like, I do think that everyone should, who watches this podcast and who has the ability to, should be able to put put some money down, help max out, because this does sound like a really good deal. Do you mind going through what like some of the perks are to the Indiegogo campaign?
Well, the first tier is for $1, and basically you get a thank you for that. And honestly, I don't think enough people realize how much the $1 tier can help. Because if we had just a small percentage of everybody that saw a post about the project donate $1, we'd have all the money in just dollar donations. So I really humbly ask, if you got $1, don't feel like it's too little. It's all a big help.
That's very comforting as someone who is currently unemployed and is very stingy with my money. So I think I will actually drop $1 on this.
It's the cost of a McDonald's big drink, so like it's not a lot, but it'll go a long way.
And then we have the $5 perk, which is behind the scenes still pictures. There should be lots of really cool stuff from that. The $9 behind the scenes package is similar. You get for $9, you get all the pictures from the $5 perk, but you also get some video behind the scenes footage, which should be some really good stuff too.
And then I do have a question. If you subscribe to a perk on a higher tier, do you get all the subsequent tier perks as well?
Yes, everything that's so it trickles down. So anything you get above, you get everything below. So if you get the $20 tier, you get all of the tiers below that. If you're just crazy and you spend $250 for a producer credit, you get everything below that.
That's wonderful. See, I think a lot of people truly wonder in some capacity. Now to sort of get into maybe some of the ideas and plans you had if you were to raise the funds. What it would be mostly practical effects, or what would you try and to hybridize? How would you go through the process of tackling emulating it in your mind?
Well, probably the vast bulk of it would be practical effects, just because with the budget, there is probably not going to be enough money unless we exceed our goal. There probably just won't be enough money to do heavy digital effects. I know you guys know Qualtro.
Qualtro is the best.
Yeah, he's awesome. He did the VFX, that's up on the crowdfunding, and the texture of the digital skin that he put over it really looks great.
It does. It looks lovely. I think the big thing people worry about is the initial skin change and stuff, and I think you do justice with that. I'm always just an effects kind of guy, and I'm very curious about how that goes. So that's just something I think people would be interested in.
Well, I appreciate you guys having faith in me. Like I said, it's going to be a combination of practical effects with a little bit of digital effects. We're going to be having a rollable suit fabricated. That's part of the budget. It's part of the money that's being raised.
Right. Good chunk of it, yeah.
Yeah, and the fabricator seems extremely confident that it's going to give us everything we need, that it's going to be rollable, it's going to be durable and hold up to production stress. It's going to have a little bit of buoyancy. So I'm really excited about that. There's another producer that I've worked with in the past who has a suit that I've put up on pictures on DeviantArt and some of the Discords. It's a torso to neck prosthetic, and if you've seen the pictures, you can get on my DeviantArt if you haven't. And it's not a morph. It's been colorized or color edited by the one and only amazing Sassy Viper.
Haven't heard of them, though apparently they do good work.
Yeah. Well, it's a really good color edit. I love the color depth and tone of it. It's perfect. But the suit itself, there's no morph there. That's how big it gets all on its own, without morphing it or anything. So it's a pretty amazing prop, and we're going to have access to use that as well. So I think we're going to have some really good transitional tools, to go from, sort of zero to blueberry.
I do like the look of that suit. I just pulled it up. That's very well done. Very sci-fi-y.
So you mentioned that, the crowdfunding campaign is definitely going to help with this project a lot, but you do say that in the campaign that you will go forward with this project even if it doesn't meet its goals, just with a lot of the corners cut. What are some of the cuts that you expect to make if this campaign doesn't make it?
Probably the script, maybe some like little bonus things that are in there that are not absolutely essential to the storyline or the effects would probably get trimmed out. What you might call a little bit of the story fat, so to speak. It'd be a little leaner. It's stuff that I would not want to take out, but if we had to, we could. The digital effects would be one of the things that would have to be, cut back on or possibly even eliminated. Because Qualtro has offered to help, but it's not necessarily something that we can lean on him to do all of that for free. It's not simple work. He's really good at it. It's a whole amazing skill set that unfortunately I lack. And, it's also an expensive skill set. So we would just have to see, depending on the budget, we might have to just depend either entirely on physical effects or, cut back on the digital.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. You'd want to even with the budget that you'd eventually get, you want to get what you can cover and what you can sort of go forward with. That makes sense. I think that would be the biggest concern for people is what you would trim away, and it's very forward thinking of you to have that sort of planned ahead, because I think one of the big issues with a lot of these kind of like campaigns for just anything is that forward thinking is aspirational and it doesn't think about what would happen if something didn't go the way, and that's very good that you've thought that through.
Well, one of the things that made me wait so long to try and go ahead and launch something like this is, I really feel like, a lot of times people have dipped into the community pool and sort of leaned on that trust and, this person's a part of the community, they're going to do this. Everybody gets really excited. They put their money in, and sometimes you don't always get, either you don't get the return you expect or you don't get hardly much of a return at all. So the one thing that I am really, really emphatic about is that no matter what happens, somehow, some way, even if there's a worst case scenario, if there's a small delay in production, that you're going to get your 30-minute short movie.
Yeah, it's good that you have that sort of planned out. It's a refresher to be honest. I also like how you keep people updated and how you're directly, interacting with them. That's very productive and very helpful. And I assume that if people could, you wouldn't mind if they gave multiple times, right?
That's fantastic, but I also, it's hard for me to ask people for money. It's one thing to make something, you've got it, it's there, you can buy it, but again, that's one of the things I struggle with in launching, the crowdfunding was, having people put their faith in you for, like a couple of months, several months down the road that they're going to get something. But I do hope that I built up enough, goodwill and credibility in the community that, people do feel like that's not going to be an issue for them.
Exactly. I feel it as somebody who takes commissions. You definitely have that pressure to make sure that you're upfront and reasonable about your prices and accept that people will trust you to deliver a product for them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just being transparent. Like, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible as we progress and move forward. I'm trying to keep people reasonably updated.
And it's not easy already online to ask for money. A lot of the things that I do with commissions, like Sassy said, is to make sure that it's reasonable but also a fair price. And I think the tiers that you've selected and a lot of stuff that you've gone through with it, around it, are pretty reasonable, especially when it comes to those higher tier things and the mid tier things. Those are very reasonable, like price gauges and stuff. So It does seem reasonable that a short film, like both downloadable and hard copy, if you were to ever make one, would be $20. It's very, very reasonable, and all the other stuff below it just, makes sense. So you've done a great job with that, and I do look forward to seeing this come together,
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And really, if you look at it just from a mercenary point of view, if you went to a clip store and you bought two 15-minute clips, you're probably going to pay $30 because it's usually about $1 a minute. So you're already for $20 for a $30 30-minute project. You're already, ahead of the game. And then you're also getting, the behind the scenes pics and videos. So I think for $20, versus going to just buy a 30-minute clip, I feel like it's a pretty good deal. I hope everybody else feels the same way.
Well, and it is a good deal, especially for something that, will hopefully come out looking even more professional than most of those clips.
Yep, that's the plan.
I guess we should, start wrapping up with this and sort of finish. But I just wanted to say thank you, Max Groth, for doing this interview. And I look forward to seeing this and the possible anthology movie that could come from it. And do you want to plug your pluggables, as Robert Evans says?
I don't think he has a trademark over that phrase.
No, he doesn't, but it's still fun. It's very fun to say.
If you have anything to plug, you should plug it for us.
Oh, okay. Well, right now, the big thing is just the crowdfunding. I mean, I have a Patreon, but that's sort of just like for my regular Max Groth, kind of just purely
Regular
fetish
biz.
work. I'm sorry?
I just said regular biz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the regular biz. But really right now, I think if anybody has $1 or more to spend on anything related to my ventures, it would really be just a tremendous help. And I would greatly appreciate it, if they would put it toward the crowdfunding project at the moment.
Remember, even just $1 helps.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Max Groth. Thank you for joining us and doing this interview. It was very nice talking to you, and we look forward to seeing where this goes, basically.
Well,
so, you first.
No, I was just going to say, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for your efforts on my behalf to sort of, get the word out and plug this thing. And it's always a pleasure.
Bye.
Welcome back from the interview. That was great. That was fun.
That was great.
So, as is tradition, we will start this segment, or this portion of the podcast, the post-interview, with the news. And I actually have a lot of updates. For starters, I have found a couple more clips that I think people would like. One of which I think was actually produced this month, the month of June, and it is a clip by forgot the name. It's Cassie Cummings, and it's a Blueberry Inflation clip, it's completely different than what they normally make. They usually make very overtly sexual stuff, but this is just a Blueberry Inflation clip, and it's
no relation to Katie Cummings.
One could only wish. Sadly,
I'd love to see her do a Blueberry clip.
I think everyone would, but I don't know if she does that stuff anymore, which is kind of, but who knows? Maybe if you have the money and you want to buy a clip from Katie Cummings, I'm sure you could motivate her to do so. There's that. Then there's a couple clips by Rosie Marie Feedy that are Blueberry Inflation oriented. I don't know how recent those are, but they're very well made. And I've watched them. And then there's a couple clips on Curvage. I have to pull up the people who made them just to figure out who it was. But I think it's Curvage Casey and Gaining Goth GF both have Blueberry Inflation videos that are very lovely. Curvage Casey's has a very cool color change sequence that I think people would enjoy, and it's very well made. And as always, there are new TaylorMade Clips videos, so support your local creator with that regard. Also, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the 1971 movie. It was the 50th anniversary.
The 50th anniversary to
His 50th anniversary to the Oh God No.
Musical theater!
Oh, God, no.
But yeah, no, I feel like we should celebrate by eating chocolate and not winning a prize.
Also, I've heard that apparently July is Blueberry Month.
Yeah, it's Juicy July.
Juicy July. Okay, celebrate with some blueberries and chocolate.
And art. Make blueberry art. do as you please in this Juicy July. It's usually
It is the month. It is the month of Wonka. It is the month of blueberries. It is the month of chocolate, and nothing else. Nothing else special about July whatsoever.
Okay, so Blueberry Day is October 24th, so we got a while. Let me see when. Oh shit, we missed National Blueberry Pie Day. Well, shit. All right, that's okay. We can get the next one. But no, yeah, June and July are almost always in the artist community touted as Juicy June and Juicy July, respectively. And usually, since it's July, that usually leads to lots of artists posting sequences all throughout the month. One of my favorite sort of annual things, and I don't know if he's doing it this year. I'm not going to say that he is, but you know, you can look back at his previous ones. Sid Kid 44 does a Juicy July, I think it's either donation expansion sequence or something, or something like that, and he just has like different characters, and whoever gets the most likes, shares, or whatever they expand that much within the next week, and he just draws it. It's very good. It's very well made. And I love that Juicy July tradition, sort of, that he's had going on there. But yeah, it is that time of year again, folks.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Should we also give brief mention to BBW Layla?
Oh, yeah, Jesus, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, BBW Layla made a Blueberry clip. I don't know if we mentioned that last episode, or if we did, or if that wasn't ready yet. But yeah, she made...
Oh, that did not happen last episode.
Oh, yeah, no. Okay, so yeah, she made a Blueberry clip, or two, actually, although I don't know where the other one went. I know that one of them is still up. They updated the site, and I don't know how to navigate it anymore. But yeah, I have both of them. They're very well made. They're very good.
Layla is kind of the perfect person to do a Blueberry clip because she already looks like the early stages of a blueberry inflation.
She's very round.
She's so round.
Like whenever she does her full stuffing, she becomes sphere, and it's very cool because like it's just impressive. Like after a certain point, it's no longer like, oh, this is really hot. This is like, wow, this is impressive, Layla.
If the concept of large and in charge was a person, that would probably be Layla.
Yeah, that's her aesthetic. That is definitely the stuff she posts on Instagram and shit. That is absolutely her. And I remember back about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, she was like, she saw a picture of a blue tracksuit, and she's like, anyone know where I can get this for a Blueberry clip? And now we have this, so she definitely got it. So yeah, there's that. I'm trying to think of any other updates. I can't think of much. If something comes to mind, you let me know.
What about Woods cherry inflation?
Oh, fuck, Jesus. I thought I did. Okay, yeah. No, yeah. Woods also released a cherry inflation video, I believe, for Valentine's Day not too long ago, and I think it looks very good. It's different than Blueberry, which is nice because we usually have Blueberry and that's it. In the mighty words of Jesus Christ, man cannot live on Blueberry.
I don't see enough cherry inflation content, and I think that it's largely to do with the fact that a lot of people just generally do Blueberry inflation again, but red. And I feel like there are other applications you can add to a cherry that you don't necessarily have with a Blueberry.
I've suggested to a contact close to me for TaylorMade Clips to do a cherry inflation, but instead of getting fully round so they don't have to use the suit, and I've suggested doing a cherry inflation with, like, instead of the suit, it's breasts, and a pear inflation, but instead of, like, with the suit, it uses butt. Like, that stuff can definitely work.
Like, pear inflation is always done with sort of a supersized ass expansion.
With booty!
With booty!
But no, yeah, I honestly think that if you are a creator and you want to make cherry inflation, just get big boob props, and then paint your face red. And that's basically how I think you'd do it. But yeah, Woods did a cherry inflation for Valentine's, and while it isn't the breast inflation one, it is definitely cute and definitely lovely, and I suggest everyone to get it because because Woods is a cool person.
They are pretty cool.
They're pretty weird. Woods Weird Kink Cafe. Woods Kink Cafe on Minivids. But yeah, no, we have all those wonderful things, and it is Juicy July, and you get that 50th anniversary of Willy Wonka. So celebrate accordingly. Do you have any news? Do you have any updates? Do you wanna report on the weather in Wonka World? I don't know what that would be.
I don't think I have any updates, so I'm good.
All right, that's awesome. We got everything covered. Now, shall we move on to the next portion?
Yes.
The reflecting on the bizarre headcanons that people have decided to apply to different characters because of this kink. And kind of specifically, Scarlet Beauregard.
We could talk about everybody. I've added some headcanon to some of the characters, at least.
Oh, yeah.
Not to toot my own horn a little bit. A while back, I made a blueberry inflation sequence of Anna Sophia Robb, just kind of implying that in the years since the factory incident, like, she continued to fill up with juice. And so she kind of became famous in the gymnastics scene because of her great flexibility. But she then transitioned over to modeling, again, because of her unique skin tone, her unique body type, and because she is still, even after the incident, still slowly filling up with juice, she could, like, model for, like, multiple different clothing brands that market to different body types. And so every once in a while, she would fill herself up and then juice herself back down to start the cycle all over again.
The cycle begins anew. Honestly, that is a dope fucking headcanon. Because, like, you got to think about how these things would affect the wider world. One of the funnier headcanons I've seen is that Scarlet Beauregard is a massive MILF.
I mean, she is, though.
I mean, I get that. However, like, there's no indication that she's worn a thong in the movie, yet for some reason, every art that draws her with pants off assumes she's wearing one.
Come on, look at that woman and tell me that she isn't the kind of person who would wear a thong to a factory tour.
I mean, you're not wrong. However, then also, like, I think this started with Weeblord, or it was popularized by one of Weeblord's stories, but basically, like, Scarlet being a beauty queen. There's no indication of her being one. However, it is not a far-fetched idea to believe that she is.
It's weird because apparently that didn't happen, but for whatever reason, when you brought it up, I thought, oh yeah, that did happen, but it didn't.
Like, the amount of stuff we've just attributed to different characters, even non-kink headcanons, like the original Willy Wonka is definitely a sociopath.
Again, much like Scarlet being a MILF, I feel like that's just kind of part of the text.
This part, it's just generally accepted fact. I mean, it is part of the text, but it's also like, he clearly cares about people. He's clearly nice.
I mean, the whole beauty queen angle does make sense, considering that a lot of the reason Violet is so competitive is because she gets that pressure from her mother, who probably competed a lot herself.
The amount of people who've explored that angle astound me, and I love it, because it's such a, like, sympathetic angle for the character, and just sort of it adds nuance, as opposed to being like, oh, they're just terrible people.
Yeah. And Violet sort of coming to terms with the fact that, you know, she has been pressured by her mother all of her life. That was what incentivized me to make her become a model in my headcanon. So moving away from sports and what her mother wanted into something that she could make her own, I felt like that was a good evolution of the character.
I'm trying to think of other, like, character headcanons. Like, the amount of times I've seen the trope of Veruca post-tour purchasing Violet or the factory, which is a hilarious concept, because A, Willy Wonka would never do that. He's a weirdo. He's not a terrible person. But B, also, there's also the headcanon that in that big fucking contract at the beginning of the 71 movie, if you become a thing that isn't human, like fruit, you become factory property, which is a fucking wild-ass caveat to think about. Because, like, all right, now you're no longer human. Implications, dude.
Actually, this reminds me of an article I read at one point where, like, sort of indicating that Violet should have been the one to.
I disagree with that article so fucking hard. I want to fight with that article so hard because, I mean, I get it though, but at the same time, like,
she would have been a girl boss if she hadn't turned into a blueberry.
Yeah, but. Then they wouldn't have had the trifecta. She's the girl boss, Wonka's the gatekeep, and the gaslight.
Although, I personally like the idea of a girl boss who's already a blueberry.
I mean, it's a good concept. I've seen it explored a couple of times. Shockingly, there's a huge market for dominant berries, but there are very few stories. I made one that's barely soft dom, that's barely like dominant, that's just sort of like, I'm also bigger than you and strong.
It's like, I love the idea, but I don't know how to implement it
It's
practically.
so fucking hard. I'm going to tell you this right now as somebody who writes. It is very hard to implement. However, once you do it, people want it. And I just... it's fucking fun to write. But it's so hard to get fleshed out, you know? What else? What? The one thing that's not a headcanon that I kind of like how they did in the 2005 movies, they made Augustus a really shitty person. It just made him a terrible person. Literally looking at this poor scrawny kid. Would you like some chocolate? You should have brought some. Just being shitty.
I mean, I remember him being that much of a bastard in the 71 movie.
Was he?
I don't know.
No, he was just a blank slate.
He was just a fat kid, you know? And he ended up in a very unfortunate circumstance. But nah, in the 05 movie, it's like, fuck you got it coming.
Fuck you, chubby kid.
Want some chocolate? Maybe you should have gotten your own instead of stealing it from the river like a pig.
There's this bizarre headcanon where, like, the Oompa Loompas they're imps as opposed to, like, people, which is an interesting reworking of that, but it's also kind of scary.
I mean, it's more of an aesthetic difference, I guess. Like, they still serve the same narrative purpose.
However, that's much more terrifying because they're imps at that point.
Also, am I the only one who was actually kind of scared by the Oompa Loompas as a child? Like the 71 era Oompa Loompas?
I will tell you right now, you are not.
Like, it's like they were these short orange people with green hair, and it freaked me out.
Put that into real life. When you failed, a group of 6 very short, orange, green-haired men came out and sang a monotone song about your failure. That's horrifying. That's anxiety-inducing. If I were to return to Scarlet, it's also a weird headcanon, and it's something that people do outside of the inflation community, where they ship Scarlet and Wonka, which is a very fun dynamic to explore because Wonka is very clearly uncomfortable with Scarlet.
It is a very fun dynamic to explore just because their personalities are very, like, I don't know how to describe it. They've got very big personalities. And so seeing them, like, sort of rub up against each other is interesting to watch.
And then, like, I have a personal headcanon that Willy Wonka has ASD. In the 2005 movie, he has ASD. And his hyperfixation is candy. That's partially just because otherwise I can't fathom a neurotypical person doing all of that shit.
I'm just happy they didn't make that canon because I don't, like, as an autistic person myself, I don't like that kind of representation.
No, that's fair. I mostly enjoy it because it's just something that I relate to because he is isolated and I'm isolated. It's a headcanon I like, but it's also not one that I want everyone to accept. Because if they do...
Oh, look at me, I'm non-neurotypical, which means I'm all quirky and awkward and shit. And it's like, yeah, but like, not like that.
He's clearly traumatized. He's not perfectly positive representation. I relate to it because I'm horribly traumatized, and I'm like, that's just me. I don't like that. But I also really like that. The idea that Mike is a person who wants to commit murder is something that comes up in the movies.
Wait, does he actually mention?
No, but like it's subtext in both films that Mike is a ravenous, bloodthirsty child.
I just thought it was gamer rage. Because he's a fucking gamer in the 05 movie.
Like, but like think about this for a minute. You have like in the 71 movie, he pulls out a pistol and just says, he just points it at a thing, and he's like, "My dad won't let me have a real one." If that was a real pistol, he was going to shoot a reporter.
Mike TV probably grew up to be a Trump supporter.
Oh god, at the very minimum, at the very maximum, he became a black market weapons dealer. I fully believe that he would have been the guy to supply the weapons for the Iran-Contra affair. Oh god, that's really
Wait, but
funny.
it's kind of vague as to when the 05 movie even takes place. Was Ronald Reagan even in office when that happened?
Okay, so the thing with the 05 movie that really interests me is it's modern. Like, there's Mike and Violet, who are both, like, 2000s era boy and girl. Then it's also Cold War, because there's Germany, and it's different. And I would say it's a time period that doesn't exist. I say nostalgia.
It's like part of it takes place in the modern day, while the other part of it takes place during like this sort of 1950s, this 40s era period piece almost. Like it feels like a World War II movie.
Because Willy Wonka goes on adventures, and he's clearly like, there's the adventurer aesthetic, which is something that only really stopped existing around the 30s and 40s. And then you have the 40s era New York, which has all these fancy dresses and big hats. You have Morocco, which I think looks more like its 30s counterpart, 30s, 20s counterpart. Then you have wherever the fuck Charlie lives, and it looks like a factory town with all the housing built near or around the factory.
It looks like England post-Brexit.
And then you have Mike, who has video games that are clearly from at least 2005 onward, and I'm baffled. I'm absolutely baffled.
I keep looking at that clip wondering what game he's playing, because it kind of looks like Quake, but I can't tell.
Yeah, it looks fun. I mean, like, I want to know what the game is as well, to be honest. But at the same time, it's just, oh god, it's such an interesting amalgamation, and it makes for a good world to play in creatively.
Indeed.
But yeah, like, my favorite headcanon is the idea that not only is she a MILF, she's a former beauty queen, and she's a Karen. Let's not forget that she's a Karen, apparently.
One idea that I've seen you bring up, at least in some of the commissions you've bought, was the idea of the Oompa Loompas unionizing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because let's face it, they're basically slave labor. Like, I know this point has been hammered home like a million times elsewhere, but he pays them in chocolate.
It shows what time period Roald Dahl came from, to where that's considered, not off color. Like, and it was originally they were African pygmies.
Yeah.
My headcanon is not only do they unionize, they still do the factory stuff, but they do it to their own degree, and Wonka's just either there or dead.
Well, yeah, it's like, they still want to make chocolate, but they want to make chocolate for themselves. They want to own the means of the chocolate production.
I have a whole POV series that is quite literally just an alternate universe where there is my character Annabelle Eunice basically just taking over. Like, they just take the factory and they're all doing their own shit, and they're just trying to one by one take out the global, like, the people that are being shitty, that are allowing this to continue to happen. And it's supposed to be pleasurable and like stuff as well. Like, their demises are used to sort of siphon up their... It's fucking great, the lore I have behind this. I won't ever explain the full depth of it, and I try and keep it gender neutral. But there are, like, each story has its own, like... it's just fun to write. Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun.
Do they kill any of their bosses by blowing them up as blueberries?
I mean, the first story is a blueberries and cream inflation, so yeah. It's a rich air, if I'm not mistaken. It mixes the aesthetic. It tries to... What the original intention was with that story was it was trying to capture the Weeb Lord kind of gargantuan, hefty feed bag kind of flabby body. It was merging that with the Augustus sort of greed, and then moving on towards a sort of like lazy, sort of pampered lifestyle after that. And it was fun to work with. So yeah. And that was all accomplished by having different Oompa Loompas be, like, unionized. And, like, they keep up the aesthetic that they are, like, under sort of Wonka's direction, but that's sort of a misnomer or misdirection. It's a fun headcanon to work with as well, because then you can just imagine the amount of power the Oompa Loompas would wield with a factory that ships across the planet. So, yeah. Part of me wants to wrap this up with... since we've covered Scarlet headcanons, if every single one of you who has the ability to make a commission just gets a Scarlet commission, that'd be great.
We can make the Scarlet Month.
You know what? I think that's what September should be. Scarlet September. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But yeah, no. Tell us your headcanons about the characters in the comments below, on top of what I originally told you to put in comments below in the before interview section of this podcast. Shall we round out the episode?
Yeah, I think we can round this all out. Round. Big, round, and juicy.
Loud. But yeah, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed it, please hit subscribe, hit like.
Smash that like button.
Share, like. We don't have merch yet. We might, who knows? But yeah, we hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you in the next fucking episode.
Bye bye.